Ernest, the cordless mic, please.
Yes, sir. Welcome back and thank you for yesterday. The thing I got most from what you did was the importance of communication in traffic. Because the codes you showed, the signs you showed, all have to do with people being connected and communicating. I've noticed two things, sir. The vehicles themselves don't seem to comply with the communication requirements. For example, a lot of vehicles don't have traffic lights, they don't have brake lights, they don't have mirrors, and even the headlamps, when they have, they do not know when to dim the light and when to put it on. And so put everybody at a risk. But the most dangerous one is what to do when you come to a roundabout. Who has the right of way? Because those are things that the communication signs you showed us yesterday should be able to communicate to the road users so that we avoid it. You'll find these days, as you come to the roundabout, your code says I should give way to anybody on my left. But the people on my left come with the speed of light, as if they are on a safari. So what do you do, and what is your organization doing to help this? Thank you, sir.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Yes, almost.
Sir, it's okay, sir.
Okay, good morning once again, all. Yes, thank you very much, sir. First of all, I would want to appreciate the church for giving us this opportunity once again to come and educate the members of the public on safer ways of using the road. I really, really like this question. The question is loaded because there are so many things involved, or rather, there are so many things in this particular question you asked. Now, talking about directional lights, it is not safe when there's a failure, there's any electrical failure, it will become a hazard to either the person or other road users. And that is why sometimes we apprehend vehicles and then we ask them to switch on the various lights. Some people will be angry that why are we doing that? But it is actually to save them. It is actually to save other road users. Sometimes we book them. We give them ticket to go and pay for moving about with failed lights, either tail lights or directional lights or headlights. So when we apprehend a vehicle with such, we give such a driver a ticket to go and pay. If not for insecurity that we are having right now, there were times, some 20 years past or more, we were doing night patrols. We were doing night patrols. Sometimes we target Operation One Eye Killer, so that any vehicle that is moving with one headlight, we impound that vehicle and give it a ticket. And that vehicle does not leave our office until he fixes the missing bulb. And then, similarly, if any vehicle does not have functional tail lights, we also apprehend such vehicle and keep. But right now, with the increase or with the rise in insecurity, it's difficult for us to embark on night patrols. That is a challenge to us. It's a challenge to us. Then coming to the issue of roundabout, we have what we call the Nigeria Highway Code. I want to believe that many of us here that drive the vehicle, they know it and they have it. So it's one thing to have it, it's another to study it. Because it has so many things in it that every driver should read and understand. And if a driver should comply with what is there in the highway code, I think he will be a lot safer than the person that does not use the highway code as his guide. Now, in Nigeria, we give priority to traffic on the left. But if you go to the southwest of this country, the person that is coming from the right-hand side will quarrel that he has the right of way. I don't know whether anybody has noticed that in the southwest.
Lagos.
Somebody is giving a testimony there. But then, when we say standard, there is only one standard. We cannot have multiple standards. And that is why the book is called Nigeria Highway Code. Please, can I have a copy? I think I brought a copy. Nigeria Highway Code. That is to tell you that we have a global highway code. But then for our own purpose, we have this Nigeria Highway Code. That is to say, it's an excerpt from the global highway code. We just extracted those things that are relevant to us. Because if you check the global highway code, you will see other things, you will see other signs that have to do with maybe snow or avalanche or hurricane, which we don't experience here. So we don't find them necessary to be included in our highway code. So we extracted those things that we know that are relevant to us. So when you go through the highway code, you get to understand that in Nigeria, priority is given to traffic on the left. Coming to the critical point of your question, what if somebody is coming on a high speed without giving priority to the person that's supposed to have the right of way? The ideal thing for you to do is that you study the movement of that vehicle. You use your common sense. If you say you want to claim right of way, you are likely going to claim that way on your way to heaven. So we use common sense driving, allow the person to carry his smartness and go. Then you follow him. The road will still be there waiting for you. That is why we say the road is very patient, but it does not forgive. So if you see a person driving in such a way that he is not ready to allow you go, you should concede your right of way for him so that both you and him and other road users will be safe. I want to believe that with this I've answered your question, sir. All right.
Okay, thank
maybe
you.
More questions are emanating from this. Okay.
I think we'll take the lady that wanted to ask first. She was waiting for the fire person to come. Also, you have two questions. Okay, so we'll take your question, then let's see who responds to your question. Then we'll go to Baba, then we'll come. I'm noting the hands. Can we get another microphone? Okay. Can we get another microphone for the audience, please?
Maybe we can use this before that comes.
Talking about lights, I know how frustrating it is if you are traveling and somebody doesn't have brake lights. You know, while you are driving, you're calculating, you're stopping distance in case, and the person doesn't have brake lights. Then eventually, when you approach, you just realize the person has stopped, literally, and you didn't notice it. I know how frustrating it can be. Yeah, we can take your question.
Yes, sir. Sir, you talked about we refilling.
Yes.
You talked about we refilling our fire extinguishers. So how do I know when I need to refuel? I mean, when is it the gas now or when it's finished? Then second question. Sir, yesterday you talked about drivers who drives long distance journey who are mostly on drugs. So me as a passenger who likes night journey, should I stop entering their buses? Because there was this time I was coming from Lagos to Jos. So the driver, I don't even know that he smokes. So, and he looks very calm, very, as in, like, Christian, like, you know, mostly they say you identify smokers from their mouth, when their mouth is black, like a hair. So, but he doesn't look it at all. But I now realize when we got to a filling station to refill, as in to buy fuel, so he and his another driver, they met. So they went to one lungu like that. So, and me, I went to just ease myself. I now realized that, so this man smokes. So I was shocked. So you telling us yesterday, I said, okay. So I was kind of scared because I'm hoping to travel. So should we stop going by those buses? So I don't know, sir.
Okay, we'll take your first question, then your second question. Sir, you can.
Okay, thank you for the question. The fire extinguishers come with what we call a pressure gauge, particularly the dry chemical powder. It has a pressure gauge, okay, that indicates when it's uncharged, when it's fully charged, and when it's overcharged, okay? So when the needle is pointing towards the green area of the pressure gauge, it indicates that it's charged. However, we've seen cases where it could point at the middle, the green place, but it has lost pressure. So there might be a problem with the mechanism of the pressure gauge. So to be on the safe side, it's advised to service your extinguishers every 6 months. Okay, that way you're sure that it can be deployed whenever there's an emergency. That's for the dry chemical powder. And then for the CO2 as well, you service it every 6 months to ensure that the content inside hasn't escaped since it's gas. Ideally, it shouldn't escape, but to be on the safe side, you service it every 6 months to ensure that everything is in proper working condition. Does that answer your question?
Thank you very much for your question. I understand your concerns as one who travels night journeys in Nigeria. To start with, as a general rule, night journeys are highly discouraged in Nigeria, world over. Reason is, ordinarily, visibility is always very poor at night. It's not even a question of whether the driver is on drugs or not. Visibility during night journeys are always very poor. So it is a first-hand risk traveling at night, even if the driver is a born-again Christian. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like you said, when you saw him, he looked like someone who will not indulge. That's the first advice. That night journeys, even night driving, if you're somebody who drives at night, you will find out that the distance that you can see at night is shorter than what you can see during the day. And if you're somebody who is traveling long distance, there's a tendency that you increase speed. For instance, if you're going to Lagos, honestly, I must tell you the truth, Lagos is far. So you must have to move at a certain speed. And if it is at night, the risk is higher. So generally, night journeys are risky. Then coming to the aspect of substance and drug abuse for drivers. When we come out here to tell you signs of drug abuse, like you started demonstrating burnt lips and all that, bloodshot eyes, dilated pupils,
Please, they are not hard rules. Some people are born that way. Do you understand? Some people are born with darkened lips. Some have bloodshot eyes from other circumstances, not necessarily the use of hard drugs. I'm trying to let you know that this profiling we give to you are just guides, so that it's not when you go to enter any vehicle and you see someone with darkened lips and you say, no, the NGL officer said anybody who has dark lips is automatically no. Are you getting it? The profiling are for us, especially professionals. There are other things we still do outside what we tell you to ascertain if the person is somebody who is dependent on drugs. The fact is, like I said yesterday, if you heard my background to this, I said the way nature works is that after working all day, the night hour is for rest. It will come naturally. It does come. But because some people's businesses, even it's not only vehicle drivers, some people work night shifts in factories. Are you getting the point now? Some people still do night shifts in factories. And they record a lot of accidents at night. Because there comes a time when the nature naturally will take over. There are a lot of factory accidents at night. So do we have to say people should not do night shifts in factories? No. All we are saying is that people who indulge in such practices should stop. Are you getting it? There is hardly anything you can do other than test a driver to be sure that this person is under an influence. If just physical seeing will tell you that, no, you will be misjudging, you'll be prejudicial. Are you getting it? That's why in the Western world, in the big-time countries, they have machines, they have equipment. They ask you to breathe into it. And when you do that, the machine will read. Are you getting it? So just physically seeing a driver, again, you added that you didn't daily work that night. You went to urinate and you saw them smoking. That adds to your evidence that the person is under the influence. I must tell you the truth. If you take percentages of night drivers, only very few will not be under influences. Do you know that kola nut is a drug? Yes, it is. Nicotine. It is. But it is socially acceptable, like I said yesterday. It's not banned. But it's something that goes into the system and alters the way your body should work naturally. It's a stimulant. Even kola nut. And you see a lot of drivers chew plenty of kola nut, plenty of bitter kola, because they want to stay awake. But you see, it fails. It fails. That's why sometimes when you see some accident scenes, you'll be wondering, road straight, nothing. But why this man enter bush? It's because probably nature came over and overwhelmed the person. And in Nigeria, we don't have a very good mechanism for controls and checks. Otherwise, having noticed that, probably you could have made a call, hey, my driver is under influence, and alternatives will be done for you. But this one, if they can't catch that driver, you have to find another transport money to Lagos, because you'll be left on your own on the road there. Yes. But let's make the point clear that we discourage people from taking substances to enhance performance. Do you get it? But you as a passenger, it will be very difficult to intervene at that level. It is only their management. If you write something and send to the management, hey, while I was traveling, this man went to the bush and saw them smoke. So management can intervene. But you as a passenger, even if you even try it, other passengers will come on you. Hey, you are wasting our time. I've seen it happen. I travel by public transport sometimes when I go to see my family. And when you try to tell the driver, hey, your speed is too much, your fellow passengers will be saying, Oga, now only you there inside this motor. But me, I'm stubborn for that one. I can even stop and hold the driver and tell him, look, I have family. You can't take me to early grave. I insist when it's such circumstances. Do you understand? Not minding what fellow drivers will say. So, but please, the point is this. Let's save time. A lot of drivers are under the influence, especially at night. especially at night. Because you know, the night hour is for sleep and rest, naturally designed by God. I'm not saying daytime drivers don't do it. But you see, the pressure comes more at night. Even with normal people here. So, I agree with you. What you should do, if you can, as much as possible, do your travelings during the day. It is safer. Ordinarily, it is safer. I think the road safety man can confirm what I'm saying. It is safer to travel during the day. Not even, nowhere in a security summit here. The tendency of being attacked is higher at night these days. It's a heavy risk to travel at night. The armed robbers know it. The bandits know it. That the night hour is when, to a large extent, security presence is minimal. Like he says, they don't do patrols anymore at night. And it's not anybody's fault. They don't carry arms. And these guys that hit carry arms. So do you expect him to use his bare arms to go fight somebody who is carrying arms? No, that would be suicide. So the night hour, really, we must respect it as the way God has designed. The bandits, the armed robbers, the bad people know that the night hour, under the cover of darkness, they can do a lot. And that Lagos route, you know it, is really risky, especially as we are approaching Christmas. So if you can travel during the day, please, the advice is, as much as possible, use the daytime to travel. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. I think
Yes, sorry.
give the mic to...
Can I add something small on this?
Okay.
There is no any act of legislation that prohibits movement at night. That is why in our campaigns, we always advise, don't travel at night. Don't travel at night. Like my senior colleague here said, there are so many implications in case of an unforeseen event. For instance, if you're traveling at night, a crash occurs, rarely will help come on time. Somebody will bleed to death. Somebody can bleed to death because help did not come on time. In case of vehicle breakdown, in the bush, you become vulnerable. You become vulnerable. There could be electrical system failure. There could be mechanical system failure. The driver can get sick. A lot of things. And if such a thing should happen in the middle of nowhere, no vehicle will be ready to stop. They will say, this is an ambush. You are more at risk. When I was much younger, I so much liked traveling at night. But when I started this walk, that was when I put a total stop to night journeys. I'm sorry to say this, that I led a team for a rescue operation where we had 14 people dead, one crash. So just like our senior man here said, there are a lot of drugs excuse me, that you may not know. If you are waiting to judge them by their physical features, you may not be able to. And just like he said also, there are drugs that they will take that no matter what you do, you cannot get to know that they took anything until you subject them to blood test. I really missed your lecture yesterday. I wished to have stayed back to listen to your lecture. You know, we have worked in motor parks. We have worked with so many people, so we get to know some of the things that they consume that ordinarily you cannot subject them to ordinary tests to know that they are under the influence. For instance, tramadol, or when they take overdose of certain drugs, you won't perceive any smell. But then it becomes dangerous to them. Tramadol, the codeine family, the hallucinating drugs, and so many of them. So the long and short story here is, you use your discretion. It is advisable that you travel in the daytime. It's just unfortunate that we have a system failure. Ordinarily, somebody traveling from Sokoto to Lagos should not travel by road. But the system is not granting us that convenience in any way. We're supposed to go by train. If you go to advanced countries, there are people who stay for as far as Sokoto, working in Lagos, and they go every day because they have speed train. But from Maiduguri now, if you are going to Lagos, be prepared to go by road, spend days. Vehicle will break down, your money will finish, and lots of inconveniences. May the Lord help us.
Thank you very much. I think you give Daddy this thing. But as a way of pushing some of the information they just discussed, what kind of passenger are you? I had a personal experience. I was coming from Lagos in a public transport. We left early, and on getting to Ibadan at a military checkpoint, you know how soldiers can be sometimes. He wanted to just delay the vehicle. And I came down and I identified myself and I told him, no, I'm traveling with this vehicle. So he let us go. On getting to our Kibo, road safety were flagging the driver down. And now he would press his clutch. Vroom, I wanted to just pass. And they stopped him. When they stopped him, why are you doing this? Oh, whoa, he was in a hurry. And the car delayed. We got to just in the morning. By the time they stopped him, he was expecting me to interfere. I did not. And they checked him. His license was expired. He was still looking at me to interfere. That's how I sat down. They wrote a ticket for him. And this thing, when they wrote ticket, they called their office and said, okay, this vehicle, well, so they allowed us go because of the passengers, but they wrote him the ticket. I didn't interfere. And the guy was looking at me like, what? So what kind of passengers are we also? Are we in a hurry to go, or we're also thinking of our safety? Thank you, sir. Your question.
Huh?
Okay.
First.
Okay, okay. Let's take let me see the hands that are up. So maybe we'll take multiple. Okay, so Baba will ask his own. Then Ogabi will ask his own. Then Daddy, then you. Okay, we'll take the questions, then they will respond to them. Maybe some of the questions might be interjoined too. So, sir, go ahead.
First, I give glory to God. And secondly, I want to thank the security committee of this church. They've done wonder for this thing. And thirdly, I want to say thank you to the presenters. Yesterday, I was fortunate to be here yesterday. Thank God for that. Sir, you talked about, I was so shocked yesterday when I heard that our young people, even like this hamburgers or all the issues like that, like cocaine side, I was so shocked. And my question is that, how? Is it that, do they do booking ahead, or how do they do it? Or how do we know the difference, the one that is having cocaine, or if we go to like a Mr. Big or so? I'm just confused. Then secondly, we also mentioned about Maggi. Well, I never even liked Maggi in the first place, but I eat it because I don't have any choice. So because unlike the one we were brought up when I was young in the village, my mother never used Maggi, never. And that means she will never even use it now that it's even old anyway. So is it that there are some Maggi that, how do we know which one is Maggi? So I can warn my wife, that is having it or so. I'm really on that. I don't know. I say I should just find out. Then my second question goes for the road safety man. Sir, I want to find out, like you have green traffic light. You have green say you should go, and red say you should stop. Sometimes when I'm driving and I get to where it is red, and I will look left, I look right. Nobody is coming. I will always thank God. I say, good. Can I just go like that, or should I be waiting on because it's red light? Or can't I just thank God and just move immediately? That's my question. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. B, you can ask your own question. Sas.
Okay, yeah, she's in line with the question that Baba asked. Thank you yesterday for really exposing a lot of things to us, which some of us don't know. And, it's a blessing. May the Lord continue to bless you. Yesterday, you talked about the signs of those drugs. And, some of us that are closer to the younger ones, and most especially, we are now in the environment of church, because now we are talking about conscience and building the next generation. And you discover some of these signs in these children. What do we do? How do we go about it? How do we approach those kind of? Because a lot of them, the issue of that water that you're talking about and the mineral, that you see a child holding the mineral, walking. And yeah, like you said yesterday, when you get a Fanta or a Coke, you understand when you put it down until it goes into your stomach, you will not want to stop because you don't want anybody to come and take a sip of it. But today, you see them holding it and putting it even in the back of their pocket. So how do we go about it? Then that is it. Then going to the road safety. I just want to know. I know that when you are the curve, most especially in the roundabout, when you are the curve, you are the right of way. Just this morning as we were coming, I think maybe you noticed it. There was a tipper coming on a high speed. And immediately, like you said, I used my discretion. I just stop on the curve, let him pass before I move. I know that I'm the one at the right way. You said it. Because sometimes you will stop like this, and I remember it once happened, and I was arrested, and then I was trying to tell the person, I said, do you want the person to kill me? He said, no, but what of the person that is coming behind me? Because he too is coming with speed, expecting me to go round. So, and just to your own people, apart from Airport Junction, most of the roundabout, you hardly see your personals there. And that is where most errors been. Then coming to the fire service, it's today that some of us know the difference between, because we know that fire extinguisher is fire extinguisher. You don't know the difference. So, you are at home and there's a fire on your appliances, or there's a spark from either any of the junction box, or even putting on too much appliances on one socket. Now, how do you understand? You have already said it there, and then you even gave an illustration on that. So supposing some of us that doesn't have fire extinguishers in our houses, how do we go about it?
Enlightening us. We are very grateful. Yesterday, you talked about road markings. Road markings on the ground. I don't think there are very many here in Nigeria. And I want you to take note of the blind corner at Little Rayfield, danger zone. So I don't know what kind of road markings you will put there. But every now and then, it's accident. The corner is too sharp. I think probably because of the construction, and the one who constructed it should have. Don't know whether use his own professional something to do it. So that, I don't know what kind of road markings, whether grant or whatever, you will put there. I also want to ask about the personal smoke detectors. How do we get it? Or the extinguisher for the house. How do we get that? Or do you have volunteers in your road safety or something like that? For those who are interested, how do you get about that? I think that's all I want to. And also, the prevention paintings. I think I heard about that when you had it at the secretariat. I was there. Fire prevention painting for the wall. I don't know whether or clothing.
Okay, sir, is that all?
Yes.
Okay. Here. No, let's go around first.
My name is LV Baba, FSI. I want to thank the presenters of yesterday and today for a job well done. You touched my field, our field. Yeah? So it's something that I've been, the chairman and a few of us have been passionate about. We have not been given the opportunity to do what we are doing now. Thank God that we are doing it right now. Road safety. I recall my good friend Jonas Agu used to air a program on Oga Driver. All of a sudden, the thing went off air. I met him with a few others who said it should be brought back. It was very useful because it was very educative. People were listening to the program on radio, and it was very, very good. People were learning from it. I don't know whether what their service is doing to make sure jingles, programs on road safety can be aired on radios and televisions. Get sponsors to sponsor such programs. It has a wider reach than you being on the road. On the road is just one spot, and a few people who pass through that road will see you. But when it is aired on television and on radio, I think people will get it better. Education is key. Yesterday you talked about, I got to know about that phrase, road infrastructure. That was a very good one. Apart from those who were here yesterday, ask any other person, what do you know about road infrastructure? I think that we need to be told about road infrastructure continuously so that people get to know. One other thing is that a lot of drivers on Nigerian roads didn't go through driving schools. A lot of them were taught by their husbands, particularly women. Their husbands, their brothers, their daddies, and a lot of young people, just their friends or their parents taught them how to drive without going through the driving school and you go through getting the prerequisite knowledge and experience, especially with regards to that Nigerian the code. A lot of people do not know about the code, which is dangerous, because when you see road infrastructure, if you don't know them, you are at risk, and you put other road users at risk. So I want to ask that the road safety should do something about that issue of enlightenment through mass media. Then brother, NDLA. Yesterday, his lecture was very explosive. Let me use that word. For those who were here, though he was sometimes he will almost blow beyond the lines of the younger ones. But he had no choice but what? Let us know. I want to say thank you for that. I will equally suggest that we equally do some public enlightenment using radio and television, where some of these common things we see on the road with our children demonstrating, putting lacasera in the pocket. They are going about with lacasera, or putting a bottle of Coke, or walking about with one bottle of Coke, or one bottle of swan water. And they will never allow any other person to touch. If people are aware that what those things are, I think if the users will be more cautious. And then the issue of those drugs that you can never test them and know that they have been taken. The last set of drugs he showed yesterday, people should be made to be aware. We should not pretend about it. Even if we have children here, we should tell them the truth. We should talk to our children. If we don't talk to them now, when are we going to talk to them? Is it when they've grown baby like me, or gray hair like me, that you want to talk to them? But then it will be too late. So we should train the child, as you said yesterday, train the child the way he should grow. You go, and when you grow old, you will not depart from it. But when we say, no, we shouldn't tell them these ones, but they will know. No, they know more than we know. Okay? So I want to say thank you very much. Though I missed the lecture of fire service, but I've had interaction with them in some commands where I headed. I used to invite them to come and give us lectures on fighting fire prevention and how to fire management in houses and offices. I want to say thank you for your effort, for taking your time to come and be with us today and yesterday. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll take these two, then they will respond to them. He has a question.
Thank you for the opportunity given to me. Thank you for this lecture. Seriously, we gain a lot. And this is the first time, and of course, I think that at least the church can keep on doing that. It's very, very helpful. The number one question is for the fire serviceman. For a person that is working in gas plant, petrol station, and other fuel, this thing, is there any material to be wear that can protect you or prevent you from that? Is there any material or any clothes to wear that can help you doing that when you are working in such places? Then nowadays you find that there are gas escape in your room or other places. Then for a person that cannot smell it, that yes, my gas has exploded or has escaped, is there anything that you can dictate it so that at least you can know in case you want to use your gas at that very particular moment, what then can you do in order to prevent such escape of gas and other things? Then for the drugs man, we don't know whether there is a natural herbs or a chemical that can help someone that is addicted to a drugs, that when the person take that, then it can stop him from taking it, or it can take him, or it can help him from abusing the drugs anyhow. We don't know whether there are things like that. Then for the road safety man, we don't know whether at least you can still have time to shed more light on all this road map of a thing, because it's very, very helpful for us. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing light on road maps. We did that yesterday. and maybe we'll meet him personally, but they'll respond to most of the questions. Yes, ma.
Oh, I regret not coming yesterday.
Please do.
And today, I regret not bringing my children. That's to show you how much I've benefited. Yeah, so my question goes to the fire service man, because the other two people, I really don't know what to ask. Do cylinders expire? And even if they do, does refurbishing them ourselves, like painting, help in any way to keep them safe? Then another thing, I know what it entails to call a policeman or go to a police station when you're reporting a case. In short, in some instances, you end up spending even more than what you have lost, like in the case of theft. And you just mentioned that to extinguish one fire, you used 100 liters of diesel. Who pays for that? If I call for your services, is there anything I'm expected to pay, or does the government foot all the bill? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we'll take this batch of questions. Okay, we'll take another batch. Okay, is chairman, before I will kneel down now, let him ask the last question, then we'll take
Last
this
question
batch.
for fire service, sir. All of us live in houses. What's your advice to anybody who wants to build a house with regards to fire?
Okay, sir. So we'll start from the fire service person to address all his questions, then to the road safety, then to the NDLE officer. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 questions to respond to. I'll try to respond to each of them in a minute or less. I'll start with the last question where he asked about someone building a house. Ideally, everyone building a house should have their designs run through the fire service. Okay, there should be provision for fire safety in everyone's building design, ideally. I tell people sometimes, especially for those who use cooking gases, you know, there's a way to build in such a way that you do floor piping for your gases. You know, someone spoke about leakages. So if you do a floor piping, all right, there will be, you pass your hose through the ground. Okay, so the hose is not exposed to the house. Even if there's a leakage, it's either to the gas cooker or outside the house. It's easier to contain that way. So you don't have a situation where you wake up one morning and the whole house is engulfed with gas. So those are the importances of running your designs through us, you know, to have an input. Also, there's what we call turning radius for buildings. Sometimes you go to fight fire and we cannot access the property, or our trucks enter the property and to come out to be a problem. So it's important to have that spacing, turning radius for our vehicles to access and be able to reverse out and turn. Okay, and also it's important for organizations, churches like this, mosques, other public institutions, to have what we call fire hydrants installed. Sometimes when we respond to fire calls and the water gets exhausted, we either have to drive back to waterboard or to a nearby stream. And all of that takes time. The fire doesn't stop burning. Okay, so if we can have more hydrants in building in public places, and the government can also help with that. I found out that there's practically no functional hydrant in Plateau State currently, apart from the ones that we get from some filling stations. Government owned, there isn't any functional one that I know of. Okay, so those are things that make us not as effective as we should be, because turning back and forth, and now our fire truck has the capacity of 5,000 liters of water, 5,000 to 6,000 liters. Depending on the type of fire, I can jet out that 6,000 liters of water in 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. So sometimes when I exhaust it, people say, we came to fire scene without water. But it's ridiculous for anybody to respond to a fire call with an empty fire truck. Okay? It's just that the fire demand makes us exhaust the water on time. So we have to go and refill back and forth. So those are the challenges that we have. So yes, it's important to run your building designs through the fire service for our inputs for your building design. Does that answer? Okay. Second question, cost of firefighting. Firefighting is a free service. That is why sometimes it's difficult. Because we don't charge for firefighting. It's a humanitarian service that should be covered by the government. The government buys our trucks, the government pays our salaries, the government maintains our equipment. Okay. However, the cost of firefighting has become more than the government is investing funds into. So once in a while, we get good many individuals who come and say, okay, we're giving you 50 liters of diesel, or whenever we turn out to a fire scene, after the firefighters say, okay, we're giving you 10, but we don't ask for it. Anybody who asks for it is an offense. It's an offense. So peradventure, someone turns out to a fire in anywhere, and they're asking for money. Okay, you can escalate it because it's a punishable offense. We do not charge for firefighting. All we charge for sometimes is for fire reports and fire investigation, but we do not charge for firefighting. So the general public is free to call on any fire service outfit at any point there's a fire incident, knowing that we're going to respond if our vehicles are in functional order. Okay. Sometimes, again, our vehicles are off on maintenance and we cannot respond to fire calls, but we try to turn out our other stations to respond to the fire call. Does that answer your question? Okay. Then the other question is about fire extinguisher cylinders. Now, the lifespan of the fire extinguisher, the problem, one of the problems we're having is that when these things are imported, on the cylinder, the production dates are actually on the cylinders. Okay, but most people don't take note of it. Okay, your cylinder is effective for 12 to 15 years. All right, that does not mean that it cannot be functional after that. What it means is that after that period, it can be exposed to hydrostatic tests to see whether or not it's still functional, and then can be reused. Okay, but when it comes to servicing of extinguishers, you can keep servicing it over and over and over again, as long as it can retain pressure and can discharge the content of the cylinder when there's a need for it. Your cylinders are good to go. Okay. Then the other questions about petrol stations and gas plants, personal protective equipment. Ideally, what people wear today in filling stations is uniforms. Uniforms are not personal protective equipment. Okay. In gas plants, in filling stations, even in cement factories, what people wear is just uniform. They are supposed to wear personal protective equipment, all right, which is what we encourage people to do. Personal protective equipment, not uniforms. That's the ideal thing to wear in those establishments. And then spoke about, for someone who probably has a problem with his olfactory lobe, does not perceive smell. We can install what we call gas detectors. Okay? There are gas detectors that can be installed in your homes, but they're pricey, expensive. So, but you can actually, if you can afford to, you can install them in your homes. It will help you detect, just like the fire smoke detector, it triggers an alarm if there's an escape of gas in the environment. Then we also spoke about, someone asked about notices. Sir? So what happens is that there's what we call fire action notice. That's I'm going to put in my recommendation for the church so that they can put it at the entrances. So that in the event of a fire, every occupant in the church knows what to do. Okay? As the word implies, fire action notice. It outlines steps that people should take to respond in an emergency. So public buildings are supposed to have fire action notices. Someone spoke about smoke, and then of course, smoke detectors can be purchased. Okay, installation is very simple. I can guide you through that at the end of this training. And responding to fire, electrical fires and sockets, it's very simple. If you discover an electrical fire, like I said, the first thing to do is to switch off the power supply to the house. Switch it off entirely, and depending on what is burning, you can now deploy the requisite type of fire extinguisher to arrest it. But the first thing to do is to switch off the power supply to the house. I think that answers. Is there any question I didn't answer that was asked? Okay, thank you very much. Prevention. No. That's why I say we don't paint notices on the wall. Oh, okay. It comes down to cost again, like I said. Okay, there's fire-resistant paint to a level that we can use for our homes, but the average person might not be able to. But if you can afford it, we also encourage it. Fire-resistant painting in your house. There's also fire-resistant beds, wooden frame and bed frames that you can use. So some people don't use wooden frames; they opt for metallic bed frames. Okay, it's a choice. And very important, thank God I remembered. We are discouraging the use of rugs in offices and homes now, because the wide surface area of the rug makes it easy for fire to spread. I had a personal incident in 2001 when an aunt came to the house. She was ironing. She dropped the iron on the rug because power supply was NEPA, you know. So midnight, power was restored. The iron was on the rug. A fire started, spread all across the rug, got to the curtains, of course, spread to the. So we lost everything in the house because of that one incident. So, but if it were on tile, for example, and power supply was restored, the worst that will happen is that the iron will get burnt and the socket will get burnt, and then before then, alarm. Someone would have come to our aid. You know, but the rug in the house is we are discouraging it. In offices, we are discouraging it as well because it's fire load and it increases the spread of fire around the building. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going to quickly take these questions and then we'll answer them. If there are contributions, we can still make contributions. I will start from the top. He asked of whether if it comes to a point where there's a traffic light and the traffic light is already showing red, maybe at night, no vehicles coming from the other sides that the traffic light has permitted to pass, whether he can pass. The moment you do that, you have committed an offense. It's not advisable. It's not advisable. So if you are driving and you see that the traffic light is asking you to wait, irrespective of whether there are vehicles or not, just patiently wait. If you go and nothing happens, no crash happened, no vehicle came, then you should know it there and then that you have committed an offense. It's just like we said yesterday. You are driving and you come to a pedestrian crossing. Pedestrians are already crossing. Then you allow the tire of your vehicle to touch the zebra crossing. You have committed an offense. So it's the same thing. So we advise that you don't do that, sir. Coming to traffic control at roundabouts, it's a very good observation. Thank you, sir, for observing that for us. We will try and deploy more men to help in controlling traffic at strategic places. We don't want to give excuses, but then it's actually supposed to be part of our duty to ensure that there's free flow of traffic everywhere in the country. So we will try and deploy more men for traffic control, especially now that we are within the Ember months, the Yuletide period, where you start having congestions everywhere. You begin to wonder any moment from now, they say